So the first thing that we're going to start Be'ezrat Hashem with Pesach. If we take the word Pesach, so everyone knows, it's because HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he brought the plagues of the firstborn on the Egyptian, he passed over, nachon, the door of the Jewish people. That's what we call it Pesach, nachon? But I want to stop here and I want to change the subject. What is the main mitzvah on Pesach? Matzah? Okay. Matzah, it's only on the first night. Huh? Oh, talking. Nachon? Talking on Pesach. The most important mitzvah on Pesach is talking. Where do we learn that? If we took the word Pesach and we split it to two, what did we get? We get in Hebrew, Pesach. What it mean, Pe? In Hebrew, Pe, it mean a mouth. Sah, it mean talking. The main mitzvah on Pesach, Rabotai, is to tell the story of Pesach. What it mean? That we obligated to publicize the miracle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu done for us. Now we understand what is Pesach. That's the most important. That means Pe Shesach, a mouth that talks, a mouth that prays the Almighty for the miracle that He done. Now, the miracle of Pesach occurred 2,448 years ago. 2,448 for the creation. That means 3,330 years ago. That's when the miracle of Pesach occurred. Moshe Rabbeinu, in the age of 81, taking the Jewish people out of Egypt after 210 years of hard slavery. Any questions so far? That miracle occurred on the 15th of Nisan, that's Pesach. Remember, 15th of Nisan, that's when we celebrate Pesach. And why am I putting emphasis on the 15th of Nisan? Because we're going to see later that certain things that we're going to do on the Seder plate come from the 15th of Nisan. There's few miracles that happen. So before we start with Pesach, we start with the first thing that we have to do. After we check the house, we have a mitzvah, and Hazal telling us that in a Mishnah, the first Mishnah in Masechet Pesachim, Hazal tell us like this: Or ל-14 בודקים את החמץ לאור הנר. That means, and this year, let's speak about this year, the bdikat hametz have to be done on Thursday night. How do we do that? Hazal tell us, with a candle. We'll speak about the halacha when it's come to torch. We'll speak about it. So from here we see that Hazal tell us that we're obligated to check the house to make sure that the house is clean, the business, the office, the car. Rabotai, if you own an airplane, you own a helicopter, you own a bus, whatever is it, you're obligated to make sure that you done bdikat hametz, that there is no hametz. When is the right time for bdikat hametz? The right time for bdikat hametz, it's 20 minutes after sunset. 20 minutes after sunset. 20 דקות אחר שקיעת החמה, בדיקת חמץ. We know that we have certain custom. Now I'm going to speak about a very famous custom and where does it come. There is a custom that we take 10 small pieces. When I say 10 small pieces, not more than 27 grams. And there is a special reason for it. Because from 27 grams, we're hitting kazait, and there is a problem with that. So any piece less than 27 grams, we wrap them with a tin foil or with a newspaper, and usually we put it around the house, and then the person that doing the bdikat hametz have to find it. You remember that? Okay. So where is that minhag come to take 10 pieces of bread, to wrap them up and to put them around the house, and the owner of the house, whoever doing the bdikat hametz, obligate to find them? Where is that custom come from? And why dafka 10? So the custom of finding the hametz, there's few different halachot about it. Because what's happened if they put the hametz and you, the owner of the house, you didn't find it? And they forgot, what is it? What you going to do? Because it's less than kazait, when you do the bitul of the hametz, you get rid of it. But where is the idea of the 10 pieces of the hametz? Rabotai, we just finished the Megillah. The hametz representing the evil inclination. You remember what Esther and Mordechai Yehudi tell us? Who they hang? The 10 children of Haman. So it's come to represent those 10 pieces that we're putting around, come to represent the evil inclination, the Satan, to burn it. And that's the 10 children of Haman HaRasha. Any question? No. Let's continue. Now I'm going to go to certain halachot that we have to do before I'm going to go to the custom.
Why do we want to remember the 10 children?
Oh, very good. Our friend Paul asked a very important question. Why you want us to remember the 10 children? Hazal tell us, and the Zohar explained, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai explained by the Zohar, why do we burn the hametz? Remember that question? I'll get to it. There is, remember that? If I forget, please stop me, okay? We have to understand that before we do bdikat hametz, a half an hour before we do the bdikat hametz, Rabotai, the person that doing the bdikat hametz, I'm again repeating, the person that doing the bdikat hametz, not allowed to do melacha. Melacha is any work. Not allowed to have a sa'udah. What it mean a sa'udah? Sa'udah, it mean a meal with the bread over kazait. Kazait is 54 grams. A person not allowed to have it. A person not allowed to study a shi'ur while there is bdikat hametz. So we see from here how important is the bdikat hametz. But if a person want to eat fruit, vegetables, rice, and etc., can eat. There's no problem with that. Now let me answer Paul. Why do we have to remember the children of Haman? So it says like this. The Zohar explained that the hametz come to represent the Satan, the evil inclination. And we burn it when? On Pesach. We want to make sure that after we get rid of Amalek in a time of Purim, we want to wipe off completely the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. And what is that? The hametz. And that's why for 7 days we're not allowed to eat, we're not allowed to own hametz, and we're not allowed to see a hametz in our property. You understand? It's not just not to eat, it's not to owe. We're not allowed to owe any hametz. And that's why we sell the hametz. Why? Because we're trying to get rid of the evil inclination. That's how Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai explained in the Zohar, very briefly. You follow? So what we're remembering is that we're burning those that try to destroy us in Purim. Okay. There is certain custom that when we do the bdikat hametz, we take a bowl and we put inside the 10 pieces of the hametz that we check around the house. I don't know how many of you expose that you should put salt inside the bowl. How many of you know about it? None of you. Where is that custom come? I saw that custom of the Ben Ish Hai. Okay, the Ben Ish Hai in his book, in Helek Aleph, because the Ben Ish Hai wrote 2 books. That means Helek Aleph and Helek Beit. The first part of the books, in Parashat Tzav, in Halacha Vav, he bring that. The Ben Ish Hai, Rabbi Yosef Haim. Okay? He born in Baghdad 183 years ago, just to give you a bit of history about him. And in his book he say, on a bowl that when you find the hametz, you should have salt. Why is that? Why is it so important that when you do bdikat hametz, we have to have salt on the bowl? And that will help our friend Paul also to understand another thing. Now we're going to get to it. When we do bdikat hametz, Rabotai, I'm speaking here for the men and for the ladies if they're going to do the bdikat hametz. The Mekubalim tell us. Everyone understand what is Mekubalim, or should I explain? The Mekubalim, the people that speak and deal about the spirituality part of the mitzvah. That when you put the salt on the bowl, you actually bring in protection to yourself. Why? It's the same like we put salt on a mizbeach, like we put salt on a table when we do a motzi. It's to get rid of the demon, the evil inclination. Any force that can cause harm. Why? When we're trying to get rid of them by doing bdikat hametz, they're actually very jealous of us. And it's very, very jealous that we're doing bdikat hametz. Why? Because in that specific moment, we're declaring that we're going to wipe them off. So said the Ben Ish Hai and the Mekubalim, put salt on a bowl, and then they're not going to be around you. Other reason that bring the Ben Ish Hai, second reason why to put salt in the bowl, is salt represent life, existence. And we want good life. Why life? I'll come back to you now. And salt represents life, and we put salt that we will have a good life. Why life? Who doesn't want life?
No, so why salt?
Why salt? Because you ask why life. Why salt? Because why do we put, when the Beit HaMikdash was exist, salt on a mizbeach? Why do we salt the meat? Why are we obligated to salt the meat? On a pshat of the dvarim, to take all the blood out. That's the pshat. Everyone understand what's pshat? But on a higher level is when you put the salt on a table, when you put the salt on a mizbeach, because today that we don't have an altar, our table that we eat, that's the mizbeach. That's where we put. So Hazal say that that's what brings continuity to the life. Why? Because why do we bring a sacrifice, Rabotai? Did you ask yourself? Sorry? Because we sin. That's why you bring. Except Korban Hagiga, but Korban Hasham, Korban Talui. That's what I'm saying. Korban Todah, that's the only one. But in general, all the Korbanot come to make peace between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that you're putting salt, you're reminding HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's for life. Because the Korban come to bring life, continuity of life. Brit Mela. So our friend Eliyahu said Brit Mela. Where do we learn the Brit Mela? We learn that from Avraham Avinu. נכון? בברית בין הבתרים. מה השם של הסבא? אברהם. אתה רואה? ברוך השם. So from here we see that we have to do salt on a bowl. That's a custom. Any question? No. Let's continue. Who want to ask? Sorry? Yes. Sorry? Wait, I'll get to it. Now, I'm getting now. Be'ur Hametz. Now we're getting to Be'ur Hametz. And the 14th of Nisan, that means Friday morning, we burn the Hametz. We're allowed to eat Hametz, okay, plus minus until 10 o'clock. You have to check it up. I didn't check it up exactly. But not later than 10 o'clock. We have to check it up. I'm not sure exactly. And then we burn the Hametz. And why am I going to spend time on it, Rabotai? Because many of us burn the Hametz, and they don't burn it well. And then they throw it, and can be Hilul Hashem. This is a great HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We can cause Hilul Hashem easily. And what am I speaking about? After we done the Bdikat Hametz in the morning, we doing Be'ur Hametz, and we declaring that any Hametz that we saw, or we didn't see, that we sold, and we don't remember that we sold, it should be like a sand. And then we burn all the Hametz. We have to make sure that we burn it well. So if you need to put on a little bit of more burning liquid, put more. Why? Why am I saying it, Rabotai? Because many of us burn the Hametz, and it doesn't burn well, and then they throw it. And the Goyim doesn't understand our custom. And they see us desecrating the bread, it can cause Hilul Hashem. Therefore, after we finish to burn the Hametz well, wrap it up properly, and then put it into the dustbin. That Has v'Shalom will be Hilul Hashem. Because if a Goy will see that we're burning bread, and we didn't burn it well, what they say? Look at the Jews, what they're doing to the bread. They don't appreciate, and that can cause Hilul Hashem. So to avoid that, make sure that after you burn the Hametz, pour on it water, obviously, wrap it up well, and put it in a dustbin. Obviously, the dustbin shouldn't be in your property because the Hametz is in your property. Make sure that it's going to wear out of your property. Any question? No. Now we're going to start with the Seder plate. As you all know, the Seder plate, we have 6 different kinds of food. Do you know that? So when I spoke to Ivan about it, he said, what about the Hazeret? So that's 7. Nachon, Ivan? You remember? So we'll explain now why Dafka 6. But let's start with the symbol, the first symbol that we all know. It's the shake bone. Why we have to do a shake bone? So Hazal tell us, Zecher lekorban HaPesach, in memory that the Jewish people used to eat, when the Bet HaMikdash was exist, they used to eat korban HaPesach. The Pesach, sacrifice. Everyone understand? Baruch Hashem. Okay. What do we use? There is a different opinion between the Sfaradim and the Ashkenazim. What is a shake bone? The Ashkenazim say that you should use the neck of a chicken. Nachon? It's usually the common thing. The Sfaradim say no. You should take the shake, it means the shoulder, part of the shoulder of a lamb. Why? Because that's what we done the Korban HaPesach with. But again, Rabota, when it's come to a minhag, everyone obligated to continue with his own minhag. You can't just change. Now, why Dafka we say that we have to use shake bone? Why not any other part of the animal? So where does it come? We know that in the Megillah, in the Haggadah, we say, Bezro'a netuya, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when He redeemed us from Egypt, how did He redeem us? With a stretched arm. In merit of that, to remember that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when He redeemed us from Egypt, He redeemed us with a stretched arm, we put the shake bone. You understand? Paul, you okay? If there is question, please stop me. Also to remind us something very important, that for the future to come, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will do the same miracle that He done to Bnei Israel, and He will redeem us with a stretched arm. It's just that the miracle that's going to happen in a third redemption going to be completely different. 10 times more, if not 100 times more miracle. The second thing that we have,
just on the shank bone, it must just be cooked.
It definitely have to be cooked.
It's like burnt.
Have to be cooked. It have to be cooked.
Like
And you're not allowed to eat from it. Very good. You're not allowed to eat from it. Okay? It has to be cooked. The second thing that we have is the egg. נכון? We have egg. That's to remind us Korban Hagiga, the sacrifice of the festival. That in a time that Beit HaMikdash was exist, they used to bring Korban Hagiga to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu our gratitude. We're bringing the festival sacrifice. But before we start, we have to understand why dafka egg. Why did Hazal tell us an egg? So Eliyahu was there in the end said to me, because it's round. No? Why?
It's the same way when you mourn egg.
Oh, so Eliyahu said because the mourners eat eggs. So ma kesher? What's the connection? Huh? Life. We'll get to it. Life is round, circle. But he said, we eating the eggs. It's the same food that the mourners eat. נכון? People lo alenu that sit Shiva eat eggs. Why? What is the connection to Pesach? No? To remind us, Rabotai, something very important. That today Beit HaMikdash is not exist. And we can't be happy. To remind us that we're still mourning for Beit HaMikdash. But girls say it's round. Why it's so important round? To remind us that life is a circle, that we shouldn't give up. To remind us about the future Geula, about the future redemption. That's why we eat eggs. Then we have on the table water with salt. נכון? Salty water. And usually we dip the egg inside the water. Why is it so important? To remind us that we're still crying when we're eating the eggs that representing the Korban Hagigah, the festival sacrifice, that we're still mourning for Beit HaMikdash that not exist. You follow? Any question? No. Let's move on. After that come the karpas. Karpas is a celery. Why do we eat celery? So there is different opinion. The karpas come to tell us and to remind us about the hard work that the wicked Egyptian put us during the time that we was in slavery in Egypt. Yes, Eliyahu. No, sure. Where's come the karpas? Why dafka karpas? Why karpas? Uh-huh. Why karpas? So there is few opinion why do we eat karpas. And the main idea is because the karpas is not a nice taste. נכון? The karpas doesn't have a nice taste.
You can eat also
Batzah. So Eliyahu say eat onion. Onion is very spicy. So the spicy we leave for the maror, the chrein, the maror. We'll get to it. But the celery come to remind us that the most important that the word kaf. What does it mean kaf? There is the karpas. What does it mean karpas? Hazal explained that there is their 60s. What is 60? The number 60. Okay? There Hazal explained, because if I go through it, it's going to take time. I'm going to make it very short. That the karpas come and tell us the better life that we have while we was in slavery. And that's come the 60. Shishim ribo. You follow? The 60, 600,000 Jews that was in Egypt. Nachon? Let's move on. Then we're coming to maror. Maror, Rabotai, what is a maror? Hazal asked in the Gemara, Mai maror? What is a maror? The Gemara say, chasa. Chasa in English? Lettuce. That's what we have to eat. But there is a custom to eat chrein, nachon? Where does it come from? Now I don't understand. To eat chrein or to eat lettuce? What should I eat?
Right.
Chrein. Brian loves chrein. So I'll explain to you where does it come. Lettuce that Hazal say that you should eat, maror is a lettuce. Why there is a custom to eat chrein? Lettuce needs sun and heat. In Europe, now, it's winter. Especially now, you can see how frozen is it. You'll never find lettuce. So the Rama that wrote all the custom for the Ashkenazim, they have to find something very better to eat. Because they couldn't find lettuce. Lettuce needs sun. Lettuce needs a bit of heat to grow up. You follow? So they decide to eat chrein. But the right thing is to eat lettuce. It's very important that when you buy the lettuce, you have to check every leaves. Any questions? Sorry.
But the horseradish is raw. Horseradish is not made crain.
We'll get to everything. The celery also raw.
Yeah, but they're saying it's not crain in the bottle with the vinegar, so it tastes good. It must be raw horseradish.
No. There is all different way of doing chrein. The chrein that we get used is the red one, that you all get used to it. There's other people that do it differently. They take it, the horseradish, they grind it, they make it. There's people that know how to make it. For those that become more lazy, this generation will become very lazy, Baruch Hashem. You know, we have all the machinery. Look at us. Before, they never had a washing machine. They used to be strong. Today we have washing machine, dishwasher, everything. And look at us, we hardly can walk. In olden days, they used to be strong. They used to do it. So for those of us that not get used and doesn't know how to do chrein, like your grandfather, like Mesh, look at Mesh. Ask him, he'll do it for you the best chrein. You just smell it, it's enough for Pesach. So, where's that came? That came from Europe, that's minhag. But Hazal tell us that the right thing is to eat the lettuce. But it's very important to check the lettuce from insect.
Why is it important to me it doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Because looking at the bitter herbs, lettuce is not bitter. So
Okay.
when we talk about crayon, and even today I know we've got a choice of the two, we always go in and sort of we smoke with the crayon. Like, yes.
It's not normal lettuce, it's the Romanian.
Okay. So the lettuce that we eat, we usually eat the end of the lettuce where it's grown. That's very bitter, not the leaves. But today people can't eat the end, so they eat the leaves. You know what I'm saying? Things change. Also the grain that you eat, the red one that you eat, it's nothing compared to the grain of maize. Did you see maize grain?
Always make it.
Who? Ah, you make it?
Always grind it.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. So Glenda, Baruch Hashem, you know how to make grain. So you're going for the real McCoy, huh? You have the real McCoy. Like
The root of the cabbage
Yeah.
is very bitter.
That's it. The root, the spine of the lettuce
very bitter.
is very bitter. Okay? Now, why do we eat maror? It's to remind us that the Egyptian, the wicked Egyptian, made our life a misery while we was in slavery. And that's why they was punished. We'll see, please God, next week, we're going to start with the 10 plagues. Why dafka those 10 plagues? Now we're getting to number, no, help me, 5. What was number 5 that we have on a seder plate? Huh? No, אנחנו בחרוסת עכשיו. We go to the חרוסת. Matzah in the end.
Is the salt water considered one of them?
Okay. Salt water consider?
One of the things?
No.
Because then we have
We're dipping, by the way, the celery also in a salt water. Okay? Because it's for the tears that we work hard in Egypt. But now let's get to the haroset. I don't know how you say in English haroset. There is an English word to haroset? Haroset. Baruch Hashem. Okay, so haroset we eat. It's to remind us the mortar that the Jewish people have to prepare and have to use to build the city of Pitom and Ramses. Why dafka we choose haroset? What's the connection? The connection is the same like in a mortar you need different ingredients. You need the cement, you need the sand, you need the liquid that it's water. Come here the haroset that made from a liquid, made from apples. Some people do it with apples. Some people do it, nuts, for sure nuts. But some people use, instead of apple, you know what they use? No? Dates. I use, the people that come from Babylon, we use the date syrup. It's called silan. I don't know how many of you tasted. It's completely different haroset. So in Pesach, you're all more than welcome to come and taste a Babylonian haroset. That's been in our family for years and years and years. And my granny taught me, and then my dad. What we basically do, we take the liquid, we take nuts, we grind them. First of all, we roast them well, and then we grind them, and then we put it with the silan. Silan, again, is a syrup that make from dates. You have to know the certain quantity, and it tastes absolutely marvelous. So the main reason that we have haroset on a Seder place, to remind us again that the Egyptians forced us to make our bricks and mortar. You remember, the last thing that we have on a plate is the matzah, the shlosha matzot, the 3 matzah. Now we have to understand why we have to have matzah on a Seder plate. So we all know because on Pesach, on Pshat of the Dvarim. No, but the thing started much earlier. When is it started? It started with Avraham Avinu. When Avraham Avinu done the Brit Milah, on the 3rd day, when the angel came to visit him, you remember? What did Avraham Avinu say to Sarah, Imenu? Mahari Lushi Shalosh Se'im. That means, please hurry up. And, no, what do you call it? Need 3 quantity of a dough. In that merit, Hazal tell us that we have to put matzah on a table, 3 matzot. Why? What's the connection? Because when the angel came to visit Avraham Avinu, that was Tetvav Nisan, the 15th of Nisan. And Avraham Avinu knew in Ruach HaKodesh that that's going to be Pesach. What did he say to her? He didn't say to her, make bread. Mahari Lushi Shalosh Se'im. So even then, Avraham Avinu and Sarah Imenu kept Pesach. Other explanation why Dafka 3, because we have the 3 holy fathers, Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. That's why we put 3 matzot. Another explanation why 3 matzot, the 3 different levels that we have in a Jewish religion. That's the Kohen, the Levy, and the Israel. To remind us that all 3 is important. And all 3 have to celebrate Pesach. Any question? Okay. You're talking about matzah shmura. Matzah shmura, sorry, before we continue, everyone understand what is matzah shmura? No. Okay. Matzah shmura, it means kept matzah. That's the English translation. That means from the moment, the guarded matzah, okay. From the moment that they harvest the wheat, to the moment that the matzah being made, it was watched by a Jewish person. You understand? The water that they use, Maim Shelanu. What it means, Maim Shelanu? That we left them overnight. Those water that been left overnight. So matzah shmura, it's a matzah that from the moment that they harvest the weeds, a Jewish person was watching it while it was grinding until the moment that they baked the matzah. That's considered matzah shmura. Sorry, what's the name, my friend? What's your name? Stephen. So Stephen asked, should we put the 3 matzot that we're putting on a Seder plate, should it be matzah shmura? That's your question? Did I understand you right? Okay. So lechatchila, we obligated to eat on the first night matzah shmura. The first night we obligate to eat matzah shmura. If a person for some reason can't get it, yotze b'matzat mechona. That means can fulfill the mitzvah. If he can't get matzah shmura, he can fill the mitzvah with a normal matzah on the Seder night. So the 3 matzot that you ask definitely have to be matzah shmura on a Seder plate. Any other question? Ladies? No more question? Oh, we know everything about Pesach. So Be'ezrat Hashem, Rabotai, before we conclude,
There's still the one extra.
what was the one extra? The Hazeret, and I explained, the Hazeret and the Maror, it's the same. The Chrein and the what do you call it? And the letters, it's the same. You follow? So next week, Rabotai, we're going to go through the plagues. And the following weeks, we're going to start going through the Haggadah. So please, God, when we go through the Haggadah, I would like you to bring the Haggadah. Everyone will bring his own Haggadah, his personal Haggadah. Why? That when we're going to read it, we have to understand the translation. Yes, Paul?
Pesach makes me think that one of the lessons that Hashem wants to teach us is that you don't achieve anything without tzoros. But then on the other hand, there's Purim, which is about joy. So I don't know. It seems to me that our whole history is about tzoros, learning from tzoros, and so I don't know. I never find as much meaning in Purim as I do in Pesach. I don't know. That's just a general question. I don't know.
Okay. So, because Paul is very important, he's been with us for many years. I can't just ignore the question. Purim, the festival of Purim is like Yom Kippur. Do you know that? Remember we spoke about it? The difference is, to celebrate Purim, many people took the Purim and made for it a festival of drink. People drink. And I explained that, you remember, and I explained that the Rambam says a person should drink a little bit more than what he gets used to, and then fall asleep, and with that he fulfilled the mitzvah, Adelo Yada, Ben Arur Aman, LeBaruch Mordechai. That's the Rambam. Rishon. There's no question about it. In Purim, you can get to such a higher level as Yom Kippur. The only difference, you use the physicality. In Yom Kippur, we don't eat. We don't drink. In Purim, we eat and we drink. And that's how we should get to the higher level. That's the tikkun. You know what is a tikkun? The repentance. Pesach is a different thing. Pesach, you get the meaning because it's cleaning. We all sit together. It's a time to remember. It's a time that every time that you read, every time that you pray, every festival, every davening that you have, you mention Pesach. Do you understand? Why? It's to remind us that although that Bnei Israel was 210 years of slavery, hard slavery, in total there was 400, but from them 210 years of hard slavery. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to remind us, don't give up. And that's why we're celebrating Pesach. You remember what we say, Al tuchlu ve'al tishtu. Esther HaMalka said to Mordechai, tell the Jewish people not to eat and not to drink. Utsumu alai. Remember that we explained that was Pesach night. Not to eat the matzah, not to drink the 4 cups of wine. You remember? Why? Because that night, Balayla hu nadeda shenat hamelech. Hamelech. It doesn't say Hamelech HaHashverosh, Hamelech. That night, HaKadosh Baruch Hu couldn't sleep. The Mefarshim say. Why HaKadosh Baruch Hu couldn't sleep? Because none of the Jewish people celebrate Pesach. No matzah, no arba kosot, nothing. By that they fasted, we wake up HaKadosh Baruch Hu to have mercy on us and compassion. You understand? And Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should all merit to see Mashiach Tzidkenu speedily in our days. Amen. Ken Yiratzon.